inkproducts.com has now released its Executive Series 3 continuous ink system for all the new Canon printers. We've made a lot of changes. You're going to get all the parts and pieces needed to install it. One thing I'll point out, we no longer use backflow dampers. They're not required, and you really shouldn't use them because the print heads in the newer Canons are not strong enough to draw ink. So we had to come up with a completely new design. Now we use a double loop hose bracket. You can see it there on the side. We also change the type of hose used. This is what's used mostly. We have a new type of hose that we use now. It's a lot more flexible because there's very little room in the Canon printers to install this CIS. And we don't want to cut the printer. We don't want to void any warranties. So now we no longer use backflow dampers, a different style hose. We give you all the syringes. We give you purge tools. We also give you the safety catch. Now I'm going to install our Executive Series 3 on the new Canon MX922. I open it up. Now this lid will stay on, but we will take this little bracket off here. I'll show you how to do it. Very simple. Now I brought the printhead over, took out the cartridges for this. Now you can see I already installed the very first hose bracket. That's what you're going to get. Now when you install it, you have a little edge here. You want to kind of line the edges up so you know exactly the spot you need to put it in. Right there. You're going to peel it. Going to have a two-sided tape on it. You're going to peel it and stick it right there, right underneath here. Now, there's a little edge here of plastic I'm pointing to now. I try to line it up with that. I've got the print head over. Now, the other thing I did is I put a hose bracket on because we've used this printer for quite a few months now testing. Now we're going to take this top lid. We're just going to take it off so we can work in here, but it won't come down like this. We need to take this out. You're not going to void your warranty taking this off. You're going to save it, and then you can put it back on should you need warranty work. You're going to need a screwdriver, flat blade screwdriver, to remove the little side hinges. Now here's one of the hinges right here. You'll open up the top. They've got a little key here that has to go in the slot. So when you drop it, it'll line up and then you can push the hinge off. You'll see what I'm talking about when you look at yours. There it is. It's got a little slot in the hinge. So when you come down to a certain point, you can push on it and that hinge will come off. And I pushed on it and the hinge came off. See the little, there's a little like key here, and it keys to here. I call it a key because it looks just like you put a key in there. Now that takes that off there. Come around. It's going to come down here. You've got another one on the other side. You're going to do exactly the same thing. I'm trying to get some light because it's fairly dark looking at that black plastic. So you're going to drop it down, and when you line it up with that little slot, which I'm going to show you when I take this off, you'll be able to take the hinge off. There, I just did it. That's how simple it was. Okay, now it'll stay in there for now. Now some people, if you want, you can tape it there if you wanted to, or you can take them off completely. That's up to you. Now, there's a hinge on each side of this. Take the flat blade screwdriver, you're going to go in there, and what you're going to do is just carefully spread it, and this whole top will come off. This is the hardest part if you're going to do an install right now, just taking this out of the way momentarily. But you're going to be putting this back on, but not this. That was just put there to block hose. But we're going to take it out of our way. And you can always snap it back on so you're not going to void any warranty. Okay, now I got it off there. That's it. Now I can go along and snap this part here, and then this will come out. Like I said, you can take these off, or you can use a little Scotch tape if you want, and just tape them. I took mine off, and I taped it to this part of the lid so I didn't lose it. I want to point out, that's that little slot I was telling you about. You can see, right at the bottom there. So if you line that up, I'll look at the side here. You can see, there it is, see? It's got a slot, and that lines up, and then you'll push it back on, if you ever want to put it back on. Right now I'm just going to take this piece off, and then tape everything to that piece and save it. And now I taped those pieces to that other lid that I took off of the main lid. So you want to save that. Now we'll get ready to install the cartridges. We're going to take the ink tank and we're going to rock it. That's to get all the ink out of the isobaric chamber. I've already installed the one hose bracket here, and I've got the main hose bracket installed. You want to peel it and stick it. I'll go over this again. The edge of this right here, I use this as my guide, this edge. I try to line them up. I should have moved this one maybe a little bit over, a little bit more, but I didn't, so I'm going to leave it like that, because I know it works because I've had this system in this printer for quite some time. Okay, now I rock the bottles, stand it up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off the ink shut-off, press it till it shuts the hose off, so that stops any excessive ink from leaking out. Now, if you don't want to get ink on your hands, you may want to get a little pair of rubber gloves. Definitely need some paper towel. And we're going to put them on here, and I'm going to flip them over. Now, there's a certain way to take these clips off without damaging them. There's a little rubber band. I'm going to cut that off, or you can pull it off. Then I'm going to show you how to take off the orange clips. So I want to point this out before we do that. You want to mark them, what they are. You want to mark cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, so you know where they go back on, so you don't cross-contaminate anything. Okay, I've got the cartridges now down on a piece of paper towel. Now, I didn't use rubber gloves. You see I got ink all over my hands. And I already started to mark the clips. Now, to take the clip off, you want to unsnap it, but slide it back slightly, then take it off. Don't try to rip it right off, because you'll damage the little catches on each side. Okay, now the reason why you need some paper towel, because there's always a little ink, so you want to blot it up. That's what you want to do. Take them all off. Line it up, just like I have it. Take them off. Push it back, push that clip back, and then it'll come right off. Don't try to pull it off. That's how you do it. Okay, now I got all the orange clips off. I've got it laid out. The ink is shut off. And what I'm going to do is pick it up, flip it, and put it in. Now here's where you got to take your time, because it's a little tight fit here. It's harder to see in there. You may want to use a flashlight, because you want to get it in one at a time, make sure it locks in. If you get it in wrong, the front's going to pop up, and then you're going to have a heck of a time trying to get that cartridge out. So that's why I said take your time here. I use a flashlight and I go in there and I make sure I'm in the right area, and then I can lock it down. And I've got them in. I use the flashlight. I'm going to push it down. You hear click in. Now this area is a little tough here because you got a hose bracket and everything, so you want to make sure it clicks in. Now, if you don't do this right, you have a heck of a job trying to get that cartridge back out, because it's going to pop up in the front and lock in the back. So this is one time you want to take your time. Okay, the hose is going to flip over like that. Now, I'm sure these are all locked in correctly. I'm going to push the print head assembly as far in as I can, folding the hose back like that. Oh, I jumped ahead here. I want to put that piece of felt on here first. Sorry, I got ahead of myself on this, but I'm going to put one right here. Okay, I've got the felt. I feel it. I just cut a small piece off. I didn't use it all. Now I can slide it under there. There you go. Now, you can see where I have my hose bracket. Like that. And I'm going to flip the hose around. And I'm going to leave it just like that. And I'll show you why in a minute. Okay. Now, it's hard to get it back out again. So sometimes I grab it with a little pair of needle nose right here. There. That's what you want. Now here's what you got to look for, that it doesn't ride up on top of these pins. So you got to position it. Kind of move it in the bracket here, and you got the top bracket. There. That should be pretty good. So when it goes under, it's going to fold down, go all the way under, and it should be fairly taut here. Not so much that you're going to get an error code. If it's not right, you'll get one of the error codes when you go to use it. The other thing I want to point out, make sure you put this up. If you don't, you'll get an error code. Okay, now I got it in there. I'll probably push it as far back as I can on that hose bracket. And now I can install the lid. Push it all the way on this end. And then this end here, I can just flex it a little bit. There it is. Now we can shut that. We're going to leave this little area open so I can bring the hose out just like that. I'm going to put this back up. That's important. Put that up, otherwise you'll get an error code. Okay, now I'm going to bring it out one more time. I'm going to go all the way over to the other side, because it's called hose travel. I want to see if I left enough. There, it's all the way over, and I've got a nice little loop here. So that's good. Not too much. Too much, hose will bunch up. Now, when we used the standard hose used in CIS, it's not going to work. So anybody building systems with that going to have problems. This hose is very flexible, and it works perfect. Tested this for quite a few months. We didn't want to release one unless we knew for sure it was going to work and we didn't have to cut anything on the printer. Now this happens to be the hardest Canon, the MX922, to put on, because you got a little bit more you got to do. The other ones you'll see in other videos, a lot easier. But now you'll be able to print as much as you want. Again, you can put this hose bracket where you want to put it, and whatever works best. I put it there because I use this to tuck in like this, so the lid actually holds the hose. I'm going to tuck it between here and the frame, and that'll hold it. If you notice, we have very little air in the hose. A little bit of air, no problem. But if you notice, this has been in and out a couple of times. That new unique design we have, it seems to really cut down on the excessive air in the hose. Now, we will show a maintenance video should you have any issues later on you need to fix. We're going to put out a video, show you how to fix it. Okay, let me get this set up here, and then we'll go to the next step. There, I pushed it down. If it's pinching too much here, don't put it through here, but you can put it right through the bottom. So I put it through here, and it seemed to work okay. Close that back up. Now you can close the top lid. No problem. And just save this piece here should you ever have to do warranty work. There. Now we're going to go around to the side. Now I balance the isobaric chambers, and I can open it up, and then I'll point this out now. We're going to give you a safety catch that goes on the back here, and it holds it to the printer like that, so it can't be knocked over. You can put it on, or if you don't want to put it on, don't put it on. But you just peel and stick it. We have instructions how to do that. But basically, there's two sides. The one thing on the top here, the closed side, let me see what I can show you. There it is. That goes on the ink tank itself. Then I put this on, and when I peel it, I can stick it right to the printer, just like that. So now I'm going to turn it on, but the first thing before I do that, very important, you release the hose shutoff. If you don't, it won't print. Then what you're going to do is make sure you open up the plugs in the back. That lets the air into the isobaric chamber. Now here's little filters. We do not use them in any of our CIS systems. We found out they cause problems. This is a filter. If you put it in your ink tank bottle and dust gets around that filter, it slows the flow of ink down. And that starves the print head, and then you have a serious problem. If you notice the way the tank design is, a lot of people say, oh, you got to put an air filter up there. If you do, it won't be our system, because we have not used these in over 8 or 9, maybe even 10 years. They don't work. And you never know what kind of filter material you're going to get in them. And we found that some of them, you can hardly draw any air through them, and that causes a problem. So that we do not use. Before we sell a product, we test it over and over again. Okay, now I just turned the printer on. I've got everything set up. And then I'm going to show you here how you could test the printer. Okay, now I'm going to run a nozzle check, and we're going to check hose travel. So I opened up the scanner lid. Now I'm going to open up the inner lid, and then I folded over a piece of paper, and I put that piece of paper right in that little interlock switch. Now it's going to think this lid is down, and we're going to do a nozzle check, and then you can watch the hose go back and forth. This way you can see if you have it correct. Now I did run the hose along the bottom here, so this way the lid closes real good. Sometimes I tucked it in along here and brought it out, but that's up to you. Whatever you want to do. If you like it tucked in here, you can do that. But right now we're doing hose travel, and then we're going to run a nozzle check. Okay, now I'm into maintenance. I'm going to do a print nozzle check pattern. Now it's showing the ink levels. I'll open the top up so we can watch the hose travel. Now you can see how the hose is folding and bending nicely. That hose that we're using is perfect for this type of printer. Then in the next part of the video, I'll explain how to reset the ink levels. That's it. That's how simple it was. Now, when you're using a continuous ink system, you always want to set your print quality on best or high, no matter what you print. It's going to clean less, you're going to use less ink, and it's going to keep that print head a lot cooler. So that's the way I always set it no matter what I'm printing. And you can save that setting, and it'll do it automatically every time. Okay, now it's showing that the cyan is out of ink. Now we're going to show you how to reset it. You'll also get that code, which is code 1600. Shows you the level, shows you that cyan is out. Now on an MX printer that has an LED, some of them have LEDs, they'll also report this. So now let's go over and reset the ink color. Okay, now what you do is you open up the lid. Now I had it open to run these test prints to make this happen. So I'm going to take the paper out. So it's like all you have to do is open the lid. Once you break the lid switch contact, okay, now the cartridges will come over whenever you lift the lid. The lid switch is not down. Now, close it. Now that reset the cyan right back up again. That's how you do it. That's how simple it was to reset the ink color. All you have to do is open the lid, close the lid, and it resets that color.